Welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited to show you what I found online today. A Starbucks Copycat Pumpkin Spice Scone recipe. I was blown away by how good it tasted. If you love pumpkin, then this recipe is for you. Into this food processor goes all of the dry ingredients. 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon of ginger, 1/8 teaspoon of ground cloves. I didn't have any on hand, so I substituted in my pumpkin spice blend, which does have cloves in it, along with some of the extra amounts of what I just said, the cinnamon, ginger, and nutmeg. 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and 1/2 cup of unsalted butter, but I use salted because that's what I have on hand. I never have unsalted butter. I also cubed up my butter before tossing it into the food processor. Now that we have all of our dry ingredients in the butter, we're going to pulse this until there are no more butter chunks. The directions say to make a well for your wet ingredients, so we'll do that and set it aside. This part is just as easy. The recipe says to chill your pumpkin puree. I didn't, and it worked out just fine. It also says to use buttermilk. I didn't have that either. Rarely do I ever have buttermilk on hand or remember to pick it up at the store, so I just used regular milk, and that worked out fine too. So to the bowl, we're going to add in our 1/2 cup of pumpkin puree, 3 1/2 tablespoons of milk, 1 large egg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of honey, this is the honey I used. Next, we're going to combine our 2 bowls together to create a nice and sticky mess. Then we're going to take our mess and dump it out onto our work surface and knead it until we're sure everything is fully mixed together. The recipe says to pat and shape your dough into an 8-inch round and then slice it into 8 equal wedges. Well, I've never wedged 8 slices before, let alone made scones. I could do 6. Now that we have our wedges, we're going to move them carefully to a parchment-lined baking sheet. The recipe says to brush the tops with a tablespoon of 1/2 and 1/2, but I forgot to do that. Oh well. Into the oven it goes at 425 degrees for 13 to 15 minutes. All we have to do now is make the glaze and the pumpkin drizzle. For the glaze, we're going to use 1 cup of powdered sugar and 2 tablespoons of 1/2 and 1/2. I decided to dip the top of my scones in the glaze versus pouring the glaze on top. I added a little bit more half and half to make it easier to dip the scones. For the pumpkin icing, the recipe says to use 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, all of which could be found in my pumpkin spice container. So instead of digging out an assortment of measuring spoons and spices, I just used the pumpkin spice. If you love scones and pumpkin, I hope you have a chance to try this recipe. I'll leave a link to the recipe in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching my video, and if you like this video and would like to see more, please like and subscribe to my channel.